give a type of money that can only be spent for a specific number of reasons. And some worry about that state control or whatever. But like in this particular narrow use case, you want to give checks to individuals to get the economy moving again.
Yeah.
So if you think of programmable money that expires if you don't spend it.
But just like Brian, you said that crypto is not intended to replace U.S. dollar or money. It's intended to replace banking. Yes, that is true. I understand that crypto doesn't want to get rid of U.S. dollar. What it wants to do is to sit on top of the U.S. dollar and grow on top of the U.S. dollar without being controlled by the issuers of the U.S. dollar, the sovereign public. This is exactly what the banking system currently does. What are banks? Banks are basically the agents of the federal government. When federal government or state government charters a bank, allows the bank, gives the bank that exclusive right effectively to issue private money, which is bank deposits, electronic, privately issued money, but puts a system around that money that makes that private money effectively identical to sovereign money in our eyes. Because when you ask me how much money I have, I'm going to look at my bank account and tell you this is how much US dollars I have. But those are not US dollars. Those are private liabilities of my bank. So what crypto is trying to do is replace that. And the problem is that for us as the sovereign public, members of the sovereign public, the question is the same. Can we control those private issuers of private money? Not to overissue that money, not to overuse that power to issue this new money on behalf of the sovereign public in ways, exactly the same ways as banks are currently overusing it, right? In other words, the abuses of private power are not unique to the banking system. The abuses of private power are a result of the fact that private firms, private companies quite legitimately pursue private profits. But money is not simply a private resource, it's a public resource. And this is a political problem. We need to solve it with our banking system. We will need to solve it with our crypto system. And that's where we are.
Okay, awesome. And I was hoping this would be...
It's not a fun debate without clash, right? You have to have clash in a debate. Yeah.
All right, well, let me just tell you that when you have a meeting in it, you can whisper to a person. You can't do that in Zoom. It's a kind of an anti-Zoom thing. In other words, the office is much better.
Listen, the enterprise
is much
usage of this may
surprisingly
become
good.
very significant.
The enterprise surprised
we all know remote work is never going away. We can all argue about how often people should be in the office, but I think it's fair to say they're never coming back 5 days a week. And when this becomes a reality, Jim, it would seemingly enhance the ability to work with your colleagues from afar. Now, I made the argument yesterday, you're still not going to walk halls and bump into people that you might otherwise not, and have conversations
but this
you
is
might
so much
otherwise
better
not.
than Zoom. You have very personal. I mean, at one point, I'm talking to Mark.
You know, you look ridiculous.
In my outtakes, and he's talking about something, and I say, wait a second, do you really have green eyes? Yes, my eyes are green. And I said, I look really great in the metaverse. He said, well, the suit is well-fitting. I said, no, I'm jacked in the metaverse. Because, well, we decided to make you look strong in the metaverse.
We can all look.
And then there's one point
As you
where
and I
I'm
get
taller
really
than him,
old,
but I'm
we
not
can
really.
still be our younger
No,
selves.
I felt like $1 million in the metaverse, but that's not enough to get to stuff.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And what did Brian Brooks state? DeFi is the new banking. And we know stable coins are the foundation of DeFi. And what is the New World Order trying to do? Consolidate that DeFi because they want control. The same way they have control over the current system, stable coins give them even more power. It's programmable. Plus, they can create stable coins to infinity. And we see Jim Cramer in the metaverse. He's jacked. He can be whoever he wants to be. And we know that's what they want you to think. The millennials and Generation Z, they want them inside the metaverse so they can go ahead and download them. Remember, this is all data. And like Kevin O'Leary stated, we're waiting on that main event. But that main event is about the fourth industrial revolution. They're not going to destroy crypto. They're going to destroy this legacy market in order to give crypto that life. Yes, we have over 20,000 cryptos. That's going to shrink down to 1,000. but it's going to give crypto life the same way they did big tech. It's the blueprint. Because the NWO wants the robots, algorithms, and drones to take over the economy and pay each other with crypto. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
It's important that this happens. It's bad for the individual investors, but in the context of making this market more educated, more institutional, more stable, with better price discovery and less leverage, you need these players to go to zero. So Celsius, thank you for your sacrifice. They'll go to zero, but they're not big enough. They're a small bit player doing something really bad, using leverage to offer 15 to 18% staking, which of course is going to go to zero. But that's okay, because now other investors, after watching what Celsius did or what Luna did, will not favor those structures. They will not put new capital to work there. Market's very smart that way. So by creating these events, taking these to zero, that gives you the, this
Terra Luna is like 60 billion, including UST Terra Luna. They was 60 billion, and now they're
I know
zero.
that
That's a big
sounds
player.
I know that sounds like a lot, but in the context of financial services, that is nothing. Even the entire, under $1 trillion crypto market is nothing. We need, it's really small in the context of where it could go. And so what we need to have happen, and the interest is, I was just, before I came on with you, I was just talking to institutional investors in the Middle East. There is so much interest in getting into crypto right now, and they can't do it because they have no policy and they're not compliant because they're sovereign wealth funds and they don't have the option. They have no infrastructure for compliance to buy Bitcoin. And so they're really interested in, putting 1% to 3% into Bitcoin, which is the granddaddy asset, given that it's had such a price correction. They're very interested. And, what does that mean in terms of demand? Well, if you're running a $900 billion sovereign wealth fund, that's a lot of demand. And so we don't have that in the market yet because we don't have policy. So when anybody says to me, oh, we want to remain unregulated, they don't get the joke. We're going to stay small and tiny and fractional. Under $1 trillion of assets is nothing. It's nothing. It could be multiples of that if we could finally get some policy.
In other words, should they get this? Yeah, should it get regulated and the like, that there could be that supernova? Is that kind of what you're getting at here?
I am getting at that, but what will trigger the supernova is leverage. It always is leverage. Every time there is a washout, it's leverage. And I don't know, and more, it's very opaque right now in some of these situations and these projects, how much leverage is involved. We know now that algorithmic stablecoins will fall out of favor. When you take Luna to basically a zero, people lose a lot of money, and they don't want to do that again. And that's a good thing. It's an educational process. That's okay. We don't know yet if today you forced an audit on every single stablecoin the way it's suggested in the proposed bills, which is simply an audit every 30 days, and no asset with a duration more than 12 months. So T-bills, for example, average duration 7 months in the portfolio. We know that a stablecoin like USDC has not broken a buck in the last 10 weeks. I mean, the company has basically said, look, there is no regulation yet, but we're going to really hold true to our mandate, which backed by the US dollar, and it's still $1. And so, and I think the yield on that on 30-day contracts annualized is 4.5% this morning. We use that product corporately, so I'm well aware of what it does every day, and our compliance department looks at it, and the company's been putting out statements every morning saying, we are still a buck and whatever else, because there's so much concern out there about all stable coins. But I'm looking at ones that maybe couldn't survive an audit, and perhaps
say it, Kevin. Are you talking about Tether?
It's not right because I don't know with certainty. But I'm pointing something out. It's not bad if this happens. It's a good thing. That's all I'm trying to say, because it educates the market, gets institutions more interested. Pricing's down so much. There's tremendous institutional interest, but no buying yet. And we've really got to get policy.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
we're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.